The moment you realize you've been trapped in a conversation that leaves you feeling drained, confused, or even questioning your own reality, that's when you know something is wrong. You replay the words over and over in your mind, trying to make sense of what just happened. Was it you? Did you overreact? Were you being too sensitive? No. What you just experienced was manipulation, a carefully orchestrated tactic designed to keep you in a loop of self-doubt. And the worst part, you didn't even see it coming. Narcissists are masterful at twisting reality. They don't argue to find solutions. They argue to dominate, to control, to make you second-guess yourself. They set the trap with words that seem harmless at first. Phrases like, "You're too sensitive," "You're just overreacting," or "I never said that." And before you know it, you're defending yourself, explaining your emotions, trying to prove that you're not crazy. But here's the hard truth. The moment you start defending yourself against a narcissist, you've already lost. They don't want to understand you. They don't care about your feelings. They only care about one thing, keeping you emotionally invested in their game. Because as long as you're reacting, they're winning. Every explanation you give, every moment you spend trying to get them to see your side is just more fuel for their control. And that's exactly what they want. They feed off your emotional responses, your frustration, your pain. That's why after every argument you feel exhausted, while they walk away as if nothing happened. It's not just personal relationships where this happens. It could be a coworker who constantly undermines you, a family member who makes you feel guilty for setting boundaries, or even a so-called friend who always plays the victim and makes you the bad guy. The patterns are the same, the manipulation is the same, and unless you learn how to break free, it will keep happening over and over again. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. You don't have to play their game. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to prove anything to them. The moment you stop engaging, the moment you stop reacting, is the moment you take your power back. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The exact words narcissists use to trap you, how they twist reality to make you doubt yourself, and most importantly, how to shut it down before it even starts. Because once you see the game for what it is, you'll never fall for it again. There's a reason why narcissists are so hard to spot at first. They don't all look the same. Some are loud and boastful, demanding attention wherever they go. Others play the victim, pulling you into their endless sob stories. Some seem generous and selfless, but only if the world is watching. And then there are those who hide behind strict morality, shaming others while believing they are superior. But no matter what form they take, all narcissists share one goal: control. The more you understand the different types, the easier it becomes to recognize their patterns before you get trapped. The grandiose narcissist is the most recognizable. They are charismatic, confident, and obsessed with status. They love attention and will do anything to be admired. They talk about themselves constantly, exaggerate their achievements, and surround themselves with people who boost their ego. To them, relationships are about power. If you admire them, they'll keep you around. If you challenge them, they'll discard you like you never mattered. These are the bosses who take credit for your work, the partners who brag about how lucky you are to be with them, the so-called friends who only reach out when they need an audience. At first, they seem exciting, magnetic even, but over time, their arrogance becomes exhausting. You realize they don't care about you. They only care about how you make them look. Then there's the vulnerable narcissist, the one we often miss because they don't look like the typical egotistical narcissist. They play the victim, always feeling like the world is against them. They are resentful, bitter, and constantly seeking validation. Nothing is ever their fault. If they fail, it's because someone sabotaged them. If they hurt you, it's because you made them do it. They guilt-trip, they sulk, they make you feel responsible for their happiness. At first, you might feel sorry for them. You might want to help them, support them, lift them up. But no matter how much you give, it's never Enough, they drain you, pulling you deeper into their endless cycle of misery. And if you ever try to set a boundary, they'll lash out or guilt you into staying. The malignant narcissist is the most dangerous. These are the manipulators, the controllers, the ones who enjoy causing pain. They can be charming, but it's all a facade. Beneath the surface, they are cruel, vindictive, and calculating. They gaslight, they isolate, they make you feel trapped. They might disguise their control as love, saying things like, "I just want to protect you," while cutting you off from friends and family. They track your movements, make you dependent on them, and if you try to leave, they retaliate. This is where things can turn physically or emotionally abusive. Unlike other narcissists who seek admiration or pity, malignant narcissists seek domination. They don't just want to win, they want you to lose. The communal narcissist hides behind generosity. They appear to be kind, selfless, always giving to others. But there's a catch. Everything they do is for validation. They want to be seen as the most generous, the most compassionate, the most morally superior. If they donate money, they need the world to know. If they help someone, they expect endless gratitude. The moment they stop getting praise, their true nature comes out. They become resentful, angry, and often lash out at the people closest to them. Many people don't recognize this type of narcissist because they seem like good people. But behind closed doors, their family suffers. They use their so-called kindness as a weapon, making others feel guilty for not doing enough in return. To them, generosity isn't about giving, it's about control. And then there's the self-righteous narcissist, the cold, judgmental perfectionist. They believe they are superior to everyone else because they follow the right way of living. They are rigid, strict, and obsessed with rules. They shame people for their choices, look down on those who don't meet their impossible standards, and rarely show warmth or empathy. They are often workaholics, highly critical of others, and see emotions as a weakness. If you were raised by one, you likely grew up in a household where love was conditional, where you were never quite good enough. They disguise their cruelty as discipline, their judgment as morality. But in reality, they are just using control to keep others small. All these narcissists may look different on the surface, but they operate the same way. They manipulate, they control, and they drain the people around them. But the moment you start recognizing their patterns, you take away their power. You stop playing into their games, and when you do that, you win. Narcissists don't just manipulate with actions, they use words as weapons. The most dangerous part, their words seem normal at first, even reasonable. But underneath, every sentence is designed to twist reality, make you doubt yourself, and keep you under their control. They don't argue to understand, they argue to confuse, to exhaust, to dominate. The moment you start defending yourself, explaining your emotions, or trying to get them to see your point of view, you've already lost. That's how they trap you, by making you feel like you need to prove something, justify yourself, or fix things that were never your fault to begin with. Once you recognize these traps, you take away their power. You're too sensitive. This is one of the most common narcissistic phrases, and it's designed to make you doubt your emotional reactions. The moment you express hurt, disappointment, or frustration, they shut you down. Instead of acknowledging your feelings, they attack them. You start to wonder, am I really overreacting? Was I being too emotional? You try harder to suppress your feelings, to toughen up, to be less sensitive just to avoid hearing it again. But here's the truth. They don't want you to stop being sensitive. They want you to stop questioning them. They want you to accept their mistreatment without resistance. The more you believe you're too sensitive, the easier it is for them to keep pushing your boundaries. You're just overreacting. Similar to the first trap, but with an extra layer of dismissal. It implies that your emotions are irrational, exaggerated, and not worth addressing. This is how narcissists avoid accountability. If they did something hurtful, Instead of apologizing or taking responsibility, they make you the problem. They act like your response is the real issue, not their behavior. You start second-guessing yourself. Was it really that bad? Am I making a big deal out of nothing? And just like that, you let things slide, again and again, until one day you look back and realize how much disrespect you've tolerated because you were trained to believe your reactions were wrong. I never said that. This is classic gaslighting. You remember exactly what they said. You remember how it made you feel, but when you bring it up, they deny it completely. They act like you made it up, like you're imagining things, and the worst part, they do it with so much confidence that you actually start to question yourself. Did I mishear them? Am I losing my memory? You start doubting your own reality. That's the goal. If they can make you doubt what you hear, what you see, what you remember, they can rewrite the truth however they want. The more they gaslight you, the more control they have over your perception of reality. If you really loved me, you'd... This is emotional blackmail. Narcissists love using love as a weapon. If you don't do what they want, you don't love them enough. If you set boundaries, you don't care about them. If you say no, you're selfish. They make love conditional, something you have to earn by obeying their demands. You start feeling guilty for wanting basic respect, for saying no, for having needs of your own. You bend over backwards trying to prove your love, to keep them happy, to avoid conflict. But it's never enough. Because real love isn't control, and real love doesn't require proving your worth through suffering. I can't believe you do this to me. Narcissists always play the victim when it benefits them. The moment you hold them accountable, they flip the script. Suddenly, they're the ones who are hurt. Suddenly, they're the ones suffering. Suddenly, you are the bad guy. They cry, they act devastated. They make you feel like the worst person in the world. And you feel guilty, even though they were the one who hurt you. Even though all you did was try to stand up for yourself. You feel so guilty that you end up apologizing. And just like that, they escape responsibility. Again, no one else has a problem with me, just you. This is designed to isolate you, to make you feel like the odd one out. They want you to believe that you are the problem, that your concerns aren't valid because no one else is complaining. But here's the reality. Just because other people tolerate their behavior doesn't mean it's acceptable. Some people stay silent because they're afraid. Others haven't seen the narcissist's true colors yet. And many just don't care enough to call them out. That doesn't mean you're wrong. That doesn't mean you're crazy. It just means you're the only one brave enough to recognize the truth. You're crazy. This is the ultimate manipulation tactic. When nothing else works, they go straight for your sanity. If they can convince you that you're unstable, that your emotions aren't real, that your memories are false, then nothing you say will matter. No one will believe you. Not even yourself. They make you feel like the problem isn't their behavior, it's you. And once you believe that, you stop standing up for yourself. You stop trusting your instincts. You lose yourself completely in their version of reality. That's the goal. Every single one of these phrases has a purpose: to manipulate, to control, to keep you stuck in a cycle where they always win and you always lose. The worst part, you probably don't even realize it's happening until it's too late. It starts small, just a few dismissive comments, a little gaslighting here and there. But over time, it builds up. You start doubting yourself more and more. You feel confused, exhausted, unsure of what's real, and once you're in that state, they have full control. That's why breaking free starts with awareness. The moment you recognize these traps, you stop falling for them. You stop defending yourself, stop explaining, stop engaging. You realize you don't need to prove anything to them. You don't need to fight to be heard. Because the truth is, they were never listening to begin with. When a narcissist tells you you're too sensitive, what they really mean is they don't want to be held accountable for their words. When they say you're overreacting, What they really mean is they don't want to acknowledge your pain. When they say they never said that, what they really mean is they need you to doubt your own reality so they can keep rewriting it. Once you see this, you take your power back. You stop playing their game. And when you stop playing, they lose. Because at the end of the day, the only way to truly win against a narcissist is to refuse to play at all. Narcissists thrive on emotional reactions. They want you to defend yourself, argue, explain, and get tangled in their web of manipulation. The more you engage, the more control they have. The good news? There's a way out. The most powerful tool you have is the ability to not engage. That doesn't mean you ignore reality or pretend their behavior isn't harmful. It means you refuse to be baited into their traps. It means you stop giving them the reactions they crave. And the best way to do that is by following the 4D rule. Don't defend, don't engage, don't explain, don't personalize. These 4 simple steps can save you from endless frustration, emotional exhaustion, and the psychological warfare narcissists thrive on. Don't defend. Narcissists are masters at putting you on the defensive. They say something completely false, unfair, or insulting, knowing you'll rush to correct them. That's their goal. The moment you start defending yourself, they've already won. You're caught in their game, wasting energy trying to justify yourself to someone who doesn't actually care about the truth. If they accuse you of being selfish, instead of saying, "That's not true, I always put others first," say nothing. If they claim, "You never do anything for me," instead of listing all the ways you've helped them, just respond with, "Okay." Simple, detached, unemotional. They aren't looking for a real conversation. They're looking for control. And every time you defend yourself, you hand them exactly what they want. You'll never convince a narcissist they're wrong, because they aren't interested in logic. They're interested in winning. So stop playing their game. Stop defending yourself. Instead, give short, neutral responses or say nothing at all. It might feel unnatural at first. You might be tempted to correct them, to prove your innocence, to make them see the truth. Don't. The truth doesn't matter to them, but your reaction does. The less you give them, the weaker their power over you becomes. Don't engage. Narcissists use arguments as a form of control. They want you emotionally invested, tangled in their chaos, constantly reacting to them. The more you engage, the more fuel you give them. That's why one of the most powerful things you can do is disengage completely. Instead of arguing, go silent. Instead of feeding their drama, step away. You don't owe them a response. You don't owe them a fight. Every time you resist the urge to engage, you take back your power. Picture this. A narcissist says, "You always ruin everything." Your instinct might be to fight back, to list all the ways you've actually been helpful. But what if, instead, you just said, "That's your opinion." No argument, no emotion, just a neutral response. Watch what happens. They'll try harder to get a reaction. They'll escalate, push buttons, try to provoke you. Don't take the bait. Stay calm. Keep responses minimal. Eventually, they'll realize they can't manipulate you like they used to. They may try another tactic: guilt, insults, fake apologies. Stay detached. If they say, "I can't believe you're treating me this way after everything I've done for you," instead of engaging in their guilt trip, just say, "I hear you." If they say, "You never cared about me," instead of defending yourself, just say, "Think what you want." No anger, no explaining, no playing into their game. The less you engage, the faster they lose interest. Don't explain. One of the biggest mistakes people make with narcissists is trying to explain themselves. They believe if they can just make the narcissist understand their point of view, everything will change. It won't. Narcissists aren't interested in understanding. They're interested in control. They don't argue to find common ground. They argue to dominate. The moment you start explaining yourself, they see it as weakness. Say you set a boundary: "I can't come over tonight." A narcissist will respond with, "Why not? What could be more important than me?" If you start explaining, "I've Had a long day, I need rest, I have other commitments. They'll find a way to twist your words, make you feel guilty, and pull you back in. Instead, give no explanation. Just say, I won't be able to make it. No extra details, no justifications. The more you explain, the more ammunition they have to argue with you. Keep it short, keep it firm. Another example, a narcissist accuses you of something you didn't do. You're just trying to make me look bad. Instead of saying, that's not true, I was just trying to help, just say, believe what you want. The less you explain, the faster the conversation ends. And that's exactly what they don't want. They want you tangled in their mess, stuck defending yourself, caught in an endless loop of trying to prove something to someone who will never listen. So stop explaining. Let them think what they want. Their opinion of you is not your responsibility. Don't personalize. The hardest but most freeing step, realizing it's not about you. Narcissists make everything personal because they need you to react. They insult you, belittle you, blame you for things that aren't your fault. They know if they attack your character, you'll fight to prove them wrong. That's how they keep control. But once you stop personalizing their words, you break free. If they say, you're so ungrateful, instead of feeling hurt, remind yourself it's not about you. It's about their need to control. If they say, you'll never find someone better than me, instead of questioning your worth, remind yourself it's manipulation, not truth. Narcissists project their own insecurities onto others. When they call you selfish, it's because they are. When they say you're crazy, it's because they want to distort your reality. When they tell you no one else will love you, it's because they're afraid of losing control. None of it is about you, it's about them. Once you stop taking their words personally, they lose their power over you. You stop reacting, stop feeling the need to defend yourself, stop feeling hurt by their insults. You see them for what they are, empty words designed to provoke a reaction, and when you stop reacting, they lose control. That's when real freedom begins. The 4D rule is simple, but it's not easy. It takes practice. Narcissists will push harder when they realize their usual tactics aren't working. They'll try to guilt trip you, escalate their anger, test your limits, expect it. But the more you stay firm, the weaker their control becomes. Don't defend, don't engage, don't explain, don't personalize. Every time you follow these rules, you take back your power. You stop playing their game, and when you stop playing, you win. Breaking free from a narcissist isn't just about leaving the relationship. It's about reclaiming your mind, your energy, and your sense of self. Narcissists don't just control you physically or emotionally. They invade your thoughts, your confidence, and your ability to trust yourself. Even when they're gone, their voice can still echo in your mind, making you second-guess yourself, feel guilty for setting boundaries, or even wonder if you were the problem. That's how deep their manipulation runs. But no matter how much damage they've done, you can break free, you can heal. And it starts with protecting your mind and energy from their influence, whether they're still in your life or just a ghost in your memories. The first step to breaking free is recognizing toxic relationships for what they are. Many people stay trapped in narcissistic cycles because they convince themselves things aren't that bad. They minimize the emotional abuse, tell themselves everyone has flaws, or believe they just need to be more understanding. That's exactly what a narcissist wants you to think. They want you to question reality, to doubt your instincts, to keep making excuses for them. But here's the truth. If a relationship consistently leaves you feeling drained, anxious, fearful, or unworthy, it is toxic. If someone constantly invalidates your feelings, makes you doubt yourself, or manipulates you into staying, it is not love. You don't need a dramatic explosion or physical abuse to justify leaving. The constant erosion of your self-worth is enough. Once you accept the truth, the next step is building emotional armor. This is where people often struggle because narcissists have trained them to believe they have no power, but you do. The key to protecting yourself is emotional detachment. That doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop letting their words and actions control your emotions. Picture a narcissist throwing bait at you, insults, guilt trips, manipulation. Instead of biting, you let it drop to the floor. You don't react. You don't engage. You recognize it for what it is, an attempt to control you, and you refuse to participate. This is what makes the 4D rule so powerful. The less you react, the less power they have. One of the most effective tools for emotional detachment is the gray rock method, becoming as boring and unresponsive as a gray rock. Narcissists feed off drama and emotional reactions. When you stop giving them that, they lose interest. Instead of arguing, you give short, neutral responses. Okay, I hear you. That's your opinion. Instead of explaining yourself, you stay silent. Instead of letting their insults hurt you, you remind yourself, this is about them, not me. The more you practice this, the more their words start to lose their sting. They don't get the emotional high they're looking for, and over time, they either back off or look for someone else to manipulate. Breaking free isn't just about dealing with the narcissist in front of you. It's about reclaiming your confidence so they can never manipulate you again. Narcissists work by making you question yourself. So healing requires you to start trusting yourself again. Start by listening to your gut. When something feels wrong, trust that feeling. When someone makes you feel uneasy, honor that instinct. Stop dismissing your own emotions as too sensitive or overreacting. Those were lies fed to you by the narcissist to keep you weak. Your emotions are valid, your instincts are real. The more you trust yourself, the stronger you become. A powerful way to rebuild confidence is affirming your self-worth daily. When a narcissist has spent months or years tearing you down, you have to actively rebuild yourself. Start by rejecting the lies they told you. If they called you weak, remind yourself of everything you survived. If they made you feel unlovable, remind yourself of the love you give to others. If they made you believe you weren't good enough, make a list of everything you've accomplished despite their negativity. Rewrite the story they forced on you. Remind yourself every day, I am strong, I am worthy, I am enough. It might feel unnatural at first, but the more you repeat it, the more you start to believe it. Another key to protecting your mind is learning the power of silence. You don't owe anyone an explanation, a justification, or even a response. Narcissists manipulate through words, so sometimes the best way to win is by saying nothing at all. If they send a guilt-tripping text, leave it on read. If they try to bait you into an argument, walk away. If they try to twist your words, don't give them any. Silence is not weakness, it's control. The less you feed their need for attention, the more power you take back. Healing also means building a strong support system. Narcissists isolate you because they know that a person with strong relationships is harder to control. If they made you cut off friends, reconnect with them. If they poisoned your mind against your family, reconsider those relationships. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, who listen to you, who remind you what healthy love and respect feel like. If you feel alone, seek out support groups or therapy. There are people who understand what you've been through and can help guide you out of it. You don't have to heal alone. The final step in breaking free is forgiveness. Not for them, but for yourself. Many people who escape narcissistic relationships struggle with guilt. They blame themselves for staying too long, for ignoring red flags, for letting the narcissist hurt them. But you were manipulated. You were gaslighted. You were trained to doubt yourself. There is no shame in falling for someone's lies, only in staying in them once you see the truth. Forgive yourself for what you didn't know. Forgive yourself for what you tolerated. You are not weak for loving someone who hurt you. You are strong for surviving it and choosing to move forward. Breaking free isn't just about cutting contact. It's about undoing the damage they did to your mind. It's about reclaiming your power, trusting yourself again, and surrounding yourself with real love and respect. It's about knowing that their words, their opinions, their manipulation no longer define you. You are free, and once you fully step into that freedom, they will never be able to trap you again. You are not crazy. You are not too sensitive. You are not weak. What you've been through was real, and now you finally see it for what it is. You've spent so much time doubting yourself, questioning your own reality, wondering if you were the problem. But deep down, you always knew something was wrong. The exhaustion, the anxiety, the constant feeling of walking on eggshells. That wasn't love. That wasn't normal. That was control. And now you are waking up. Breaking free from a narcissist is one of the hardest things you will ever do, not just because of the manipulation, but because of the emotional hold they have on you. They made you feel like you needed them, like you couldn't function without them, like you were unworthy on your own. But that was never true. That was their fear talking, their fear of losing control over you. The moment you start trusting yourself again, the moment you stop reacting, stop explaining, stop justifying, you take away their power. You reclaim your own. Healing takes time. Some days you might still hear their voice in your head. Some days you might feel guilty for walking away. Some days you might even miss them, not because they were good to you, but because the cycle of abuse was all you knew. But every single day you choose yourself is a victory. Every single day you set a boundary, stand firm, and refuse to let them back in is proof that you are stronger than they ever wanted you to be. So if you've ever been told that you're too emotional, too sensitive, too difficult, know this: your emotions are not weaknesses. Your ability to feel deeply is not a flaw. It is your greatest strength, because where narcissists are empty, you are full. Where they lack empathy, you overflow with it. Where they seek control, you seek connection. And that is why they tried so hard to break you. Because deep down, they knew that someone like you, someone strong enough to love fully, to feel deeply, to care endlessly, would eventually see through their lies. And you did. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever encountered a narcissist who used these manipulation tactics on you? Have you struggled with setting boundaries or breaking free? Share your story in the comments below, because your experience could be the message someone else needs to hear today. Let's support each other, let's lift each other up, and let's remind each other that we are not alone. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need it. And if you want to learn more about protecting yourself from toxic people, watch the next video on the biggest mistakes people make when dealing with narcissists. The more you know, the stronger you become. And remember, you are not crazy. You are not broken. You are finally free. And that is the most powerful thing of all.